everyone. Welcome to Enjoy English. I'm Alice.
I'm Betty.
And today in our Just So You Know unit, we are on day 2 of Complain All You Want. This is our All English unit on can we learn to complain better, right? We talked about on day 1 that everyone complains, right? It's very natural and normal. And what are these functions? We learned there's 2 functions. So it's not just something with no purpose. There's actually 2 very real functions that complaining has.
Right, but I think what is important here is how can you complain better? How can you make some sort of like effective complaints and kind of find an end solution to what you are facing in reality? I think this is what's important, so let's find out.
Let's find out.
Complain all you want. While complaining can be seen as a good thing in some ways, it is also true that too much complaining can increase stress levels and create distance between people and their loved ones. Is it possible to find the right balance and make complaining a positive thing in our lives? There are many different types of complaining. For instance, there are people who talk about bad things that have happened, usually in an angry and emotional way. This type of person mainly just wants to receive attention from others instead of solving problems. There are also people who talk about things over and over without taking any action. They tend to focus more on the problems than the progress. Studies have shown that both types of complaining can put people who are listening in bad moods. What's more, the person who is complaining is likely to feel worse as well. The best way to complain is to talk about a problem and then look for a way to make things better. Creating a plan for change with others is also a good way to form strong relationships. Life will never be perfect, but with some effort, we can all learn to complain better.
All right, let's begin. So we start with, while complaining can be seen as a good thing in some ways, it is also true that too much complaining can increase stress levels and create distance between people and their loved ones. So we talked a lot yesterday about the good things of complaining, but there are negatives, right? There are some downsides. So if you complain too much, it'll make you actually more stressed than you were before. And it also, again, I think it's annoying for people around you to listen to you complain all the time. So that's maybe why it can create some distance between you and them.
It's basically emotional draining for you and for people around you if you keep complaining. So here in the beginning it says while. Remember here, while we're not talking about when something is happening, the other thing is happening. While here is showing contrast. While A is true, B is also true. It's a little bit like but. A is true, but B is also true. So complaining can be seen as a good thing, can be seen as, that means can be viewed as, can be regarded as. So you can see complaining as a good thing. It's also true that too much complaining, if you complain too much, you feel more stressful than you already do, right? And it creates distance. Distance is the space between you and that person. Here, of course, we are using it figuratively. Distance. You're not really standing far away from that person.
Yeah, it's more emotional distance.
Right. And so let's see how we can complain better.
Is it possible to find the right balance and make complaining a positive thing in our lives? I hope so, right? Because again, complaining is something I wouldn't say I love to do it, but I do it a lot because I think maybe instinctively I want to share how I'm feeling with people. I don't want to hide it, right? I want to just let you know and maybe bond with people. So hopefully this article will explain like how we can find that right balance, right? Not too much complaining, but not too little.
Right. How to complain better and, find that balance, very delicate balance. Here we see this word balance. So basically, when you're able to remain steady, you have the balance, right? So usually the verb that go with balance, once again, we're talking about collocation. So the word that goes with balance would be find the balance, or you can say strike a balance, S-T-R-I-K-E, strike a balance. And sometimes when you are ice skating, it's difficult to keep your balance, right? Keep your balance means remain balanced, not falling down, okay? And sometimes when you fall down, you lose your balance. So pay attention to the collocation here.
And I think actually, now that you mention it, like I think balance is also something that therapists like to say as well.
Right.
Like you need a balance of things in your life. Not too much work, but not too much fun, right?
It's so difficult.
Yeah. So let's take a little break and then talk about paragraph 2. All right, on to the next paragraph. There are many different types of complaining. So that's something I haven't really thought about, but yeah, I'm sure we don't all complain the same, or maybe not all of our complaints are the same type. So that's kind of interesting, though, that somebody categorized it. I don't know which scientist did that, but it's kind of funny.
Right, it's getting very scientific. We usually think of complaining as sort of like what people normally do, right? But here we're seeing different categories or different styles of complaining.
For instance, there are people who talk about bad things that have happened, usually in an angry and emotional way. So, all right, this is one type, right? So, yeah, if you talk about bad things that have happened, I think it's normal or natural that you might talk about it in an angry way, like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me, right? Like, you are complaining about it. And when they say emotional here, it's usually kind of negative, right? In this case, it doesn't have to be, but in this case, it is.
Right, too much emotion. Do you feel that this is your complaining style? Showing a lot of emotion?
I do show it up, but I don't think I usually complain in that. Maybe I do, actually. Now that you mentioned it, maybe I do. Maybe I just like want to let it all out. Like, I can't believe this happened. And then I feel better afterward because then you just let that angry energy out, but not in a harmful way.
Right. I also do that sometimes when I'm like extremely angry about something. But just like what you said, you feel bad afterwards about like what you said and about what you said about those people, right? Probably they didn't mean it that way, perhaps.
So I think it's one type, right? This type of person mainly just wants to receive attention from others instead of solving problems. So in this case, maybe the person doesn't expect that you're going to give them a solution. They just want you to maybe feel bad for them or sympathize with them instead of actually thinking about how to solve the problem.
Right. And I think that happens a lot when I complain. Like, I don't want to hear all your suggestions. I just want to, kind of vent to get it all out and I feel better. I'll find a way myself. I just want people to listen to me sometimes. So, yeah, probably I was just seeking attention.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think we all need a little attention sometimes. Right. So there are also people who talk about things over and over without taking any action. So if you do this, right, you're talking about the same thing or complaining about the same thing again and again and not doing anything about it, that's you not taking action or not trying to fix the problem.
Right. So we're seeing the second type of people here. So the first one is kind of like attention seeker. You want people to, look at you, give you the attention that you want. And the second type is you just repeat the same thing over and over again without actually solving the problem. I think both sound pretty ineffective in a way that, the problem's still there.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't actually solve the problem. They tend to focus more on the problems than the progress. So it's because, again, they cannot move on from this problem that it's hindering them, their ability, I guess, to find a solution, right? And again, that's like too much of a good thing, right? Complaining is good, but too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Right. And they tend to means what you usually do. So, for example, I tend to stay up late on weekends. That means probably 9 out of 10 times I stay up late. So tend to focus more on. When you focus on something, you put your attention all on that particular thing. So they focus more on, they're paying more attention on the problems than the progress. The progress is actually a very good word. We talk about progress. Progress means improvement. So if you're making progress, be careful with the collocation here. You make progress, that means you make improvements. And we usually say make progress in something. Make progress in this study. So progress means improvement. And this type of people, they just want to focus on the problem instead of the solution.
Studies have shown that both types of complaining can put people who are listening in bad moods. So again, I think it's just you want to be supportive and listen to somebody who's complaining, but if they are, way too angry and way too emotional, or if they are just saying the same thing over and over again, I think most people would be a little bit annoyed at least, right? And just tired of hearing it.
Because nobody wants to be around someone that whines a lot.
Right. It's just too much negative energy, I think.
Right. And of course, you want to be with someone that are, positive and energetic. And okay, so let's take a look at here. We have so basically, when you complain, people listening to you, sometimes you might put them in a very difficult situation. They want to be supportive at the same time. They want to go home and relax. They don't want to be listening to you complaining. So in bad moods, that means mood means state of mind. So sometimes it can be in a good mood, in a bad mood, and mood. You can also use the adjective form of mood. We say moody, right? Moody means someone who always seems a little bit upset, a little bit unhappy. You don't know what's going on. You don't want to be around them. Moody people.
That's true. It's kind of funny that way because mood, you can be in a good mood, right? But when you say moody, it's usually like a negative mood. You wouldn't say like a moody person is so happy all the time, right? That doesn't make sense. So in that case, it's like negative.
It's like emotional, right?
Yeah, like you wouldn't say, wow, that person's so emotional when they're like just really happy and cheery, You'd do it if they were crying or angry or something like that. What's more, the person who is complaining is likely to feel worse as well. So not only did you make everyone around you feel bad, you also made yourself feel bad. So overall, these are not very effective ways to complain.
Right, and here you see the phrase is likely to, a very useful phrase as well. And here it means possible. It is possible. So for example, you are likely to get sick if you walk home on a rainy day without an umbrella, perhaps. So be likely to, that means something is possible. It is possible for something to happen. And here it says, so if you're complaining too much, at the end of the day, you probably feel worse than you already do, right?
So in the end, we should not complain too much, right? There's a balance. So let's take a little break and then talk about our final paragraph. All right, so on to our final paragraph. The best way to complain is to talk about a problem and then look for a way to make things better. So this is the effective solution, right? The effective way to complain. First you talk about it, and then you search for a solution, a way to make things better.
Right, and let's see here, this is like a phrase that people usually use, a sentence pattern. The best way to do something is to blah, 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 blah. Alice, can you give us a sentence?
Oh boy.
Off the top of your head?
Sure. The best way to eat an Oreo is to separate the Oreo cookie from the middle part, I guess, and then dunk them in milk and eat them separately.
Right, that's a very good sentence. Right, this is a sentence I can relate to.
Yeah. Like you don't eat the Oreo all together, you split it in half.
Right, so the best way to do something is to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is also a very useful, a sentence pattern you can use in your writing and also in your speaking. So basically, the best way is to make things better. Look for a solution to make things better. Again, yesterday we talked about one of the usage of make, right? Make something adjective. And sometimes here we see one more time, make something better. And there is a second usage, very similar one. So let's, be done with it today. So you can make something and then another set of nouns, right? So usually on a wedding ceremony, people say, you make me a better person. Make me better or make me a better person. Both are very useful, so keep that in mind.
Next, we have creating a plan for change with others is also a good way to form strong relationships. So you can bond with them by sharing your feelings, but also maybe you work together to find a solution, right? Let's make a plan on how we can fix this or how we can change things.
And there's a word, Alice, you use, bond, right? We talk about bond a lot when we're talking about relationship. Bond means bring people closer, right? So you use the verb bond, and you can also say bonding when you feel like you, can you even give us a sentence with bonding?
I guess, let's say we're both, I don't know, cooking together or something. I can say, wow, I really feel like we're bonding,
Right.
Like I really feel like we're connecting. It's like the same meaning.
Or you see a person, you don't know that person much, but when you talk to that person, you feel like you have a lot in common. You can say, I feel that we have a special bonding between us. So bonding, relationship, in a good way, in a positive way.
Yes, you wouldn't say it like, we have a special bond and you hate each other. Like, that's kind of weird.
Right.
Usually it's friendship or like loving relationship.
Right.
So life will never be perfect, but with some effort, we can all learn to complain better. So again, like we know we all like to complain, right? But maybe we're not complaining in the best way we can. So after reading this article, now we know what we should do.
Right. And here it says perfect. Here we have a vocab word here, perfect. Perfect means flawless, right? Everything is good, super good. You say perfect, right? So life is never perfect for anyone. They are going to run into some sort of like ups and downs in life, but with some effort. Effort means, how would you explain effort?
I guess it's what the time and energy you put into something, right?
Right, time and energy and hard work. We call it effort. And with this word, let's talk a little bit about how you can use it. You can make an effort to do something, right? For example, a lot of the students listening to our program are making every effort to improve their English, right? We're talking about at least, right? Right. So effort is a very useful word in conversation. You can put in efforts in something. So, if you want to complain better, it's not something you can do like instantly, right on the spot. You need to learn and make some efforts into that thing so that you learn to complain better, and people around you can also feel better, feel your progress and your improvement.
And one thing I want to note with effort, you can say something takes a lot of effort. Like this, I don't know, cleaning the garage takes a lot of effort. There's so much work involved.
Right.
So I think that's another way to use effort. I thought about that.
When you take effort, when something takes effort, usually the subject is this thing, right? And when you make effort, the subject is the person. So be careful with that usage as well.
Yeah, you'd say like this chore or whatever takes a lot of effort to do or finish. And then, you would say you make, a lot of effort to whatever, be the best teacher you can.
Finish the chores.
Or finish the chores.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's great. So that is all the time we have today. We will see you all next time. Bye-bye.